On a night so cold the city seemed carved from ice, a 16-year-old black teen pushed his worn-out scooter through the dim backstreets of Riverstone Heights, racing against the clock. Every breath rose like smoke. Every turn of the wheels squeaked with exhaustion. He wasn't delivering for extra cash, he was delivering to survive. One more order meant one more meal. One more day he wouldn't have to sleep outside. Then he saw him. An old man stood alone beneath a flickering street lamp, shoulders trembling inside a coat too thin for the weather. His hands bare, unsteady, held a folded map that kept slipping from his fingers. He looked around at the passing crowd like someone trying to remember a world that no longer remembered him. Everyone walked past. No one cared. The teen slowed, he shouldn't have. His manager had already sent 2 warnings. One more delay and he'd lose the only job keeping him afloat. But something in the old man's eyes, confused, glassy, searching, felt like a quiet cry for help. He gripped the scooter handles tighter. "Not tonight, please, not tonight," he whispered, forcing himself to roll forward. Rent was due at midnight. He was already cutting it too close. But guilt has a weight, and it pressed on him heavier than the cold. After only a few yards, his chest tightened. The image of that trembling old man, ignored by the world, refused to leave his mind. And when the old man finally reached for his hand, the boy felt something shift, something he couldn't explain. What he didn't know yet was that the stranger everyone ignored wasn't just lost, he was one of the wealthiest men in the country. And taking his hand would change the teen's life in ways no one could have predicted. Before we go deeper, where are you listening from? And make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next is something you'll never forget. The cold hit like a slap. Not the kind you see coming. The kind that steals your breath before you even know it's there. Kai Denson gripped the handlebars of his battered scooter, knuckles turning white. 16 years old. Hungry. Broke. Alone. The wind tore through his thin jacket like it wanted to rip him apart piece by piece. Snow didn't fall tonight. It attacked. Sideways. Sharp. Angry. His phone buzzed. Another delivery. Another few dollars. Another chance to keep the roof over his head for one more night. He couldn't be late. Not again. His manager's voice still echoed in his head from this morning. "You're on thin ice, Kai. Thin ice." Perfect. Everything around him was literally frozen. The scooter rattled beneath him, motor whining like it was begging for mercy. Left handlebar wrapped in duct tape. Headlight flickering every time he hit a bump. He'd been meaning to fix it for weeks. But meaning to didn't pay rent. Kai leaned into the wind, pushing forward through the empty streets. His fingers ached. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since morning, a stale muffin someone threw out behind a bakery. But he kept moving. Because stopping meant thinking. And thinking meant remembering. Remembering the brother who disappeared 2 years ago. Remembering the mother who got too sick to work. Remembering the life that fell apart one cold night just like this one. He blinked hard, shaking the memories away. Just one more delivery, he whispered to himself. Please. Just one more. The words turned to fog and vanished. The city didn't care. The night didn't care. Nobody cared about boys like Kai. He crossed the bridge into the industrial district. Empty factories. Rusted fences. Streets wide enough to swallow you whole. A gust of wind slammed into him so hard he almost lost his balance. The scooter wobbled violently. Kai planted his feet, fighting to stay upright. His phone buzzed again. 8 minutes left. His chest tightened. Too far. Too little time. Too much at stake. He pushed harder, ignoring the sting in his lungs, ignoring the cold biting through his clothes, ignoring everything except the glowing address on his cracked screen. Then he saw it. A figure, standing alone under a flickering streetlight. An old man. Not moving. Not waving. Just standing. In the middle of a storm that could kill him. Kai's foot hovered over the throttle. Keep going. You don't have time. But something stopped him. The way the man stood lost, trembling, gripping a crumpled paper like it was the only thing keeping him alive. Kai's mother's voice whispered in his memory, "If someone needs help, baby, you stop." His phone buzzed again. 7 minutes. The delivery. The job. The survival. Or the stranger. Kai's breath caught in his throat. This was the moment everything would change. He just didn't know it yet. Kai's thumb pressed harder on the throttle. Move. Just move. But his eyes wouldn't leave the old man. The industrial district felt like the city's graveyard at night. Factories that roared during the day now stood silent, their chimneys stabbing into the bruised sky like broken bones. Icicles hung from loading docks like frozen daggers. The wind screamed through empty streets. Kai pushed forward, but slower now. His phone glowed angry red in his pocket. 7 minutes. 1 block too far. 1 warning too many. His manager's voice played on repeat, late deliveries cost money. You're already on thin ice, Kai. Kai clenched his jaw. He needed this job. Needed the money. Needed to survive. The scooter battery blinked red. Of course. Always at the worst moment. He leaned forward, begging it to hold on just a little longer. But then he looked up again. The old man hadn't moved. Still standing under that dying streetlight like the world had forgotten him. A bus roared past without stopping. The old man flinched but didn't wave. Didn't chase it. Just stared after it with eyes that looked broken. Kai's chest tightened. He'd seen that look before. On his own face. In gas station. Bathroom mirrors. After his brother vanished. After his mom stopped smiling. After the world stopped caring whether he lived or died. That look meant something worse than hunger. It meant hopelessness. Kai slowed the scooter to a crawl. No. Don't stop, you can't afford this. Someone else will help him. Someone with time. Someone with money. Someone who isn't 1 paycheck from sleeping behind a train station. The man's hands trembled violently around the paper. His coat was too thin for weather like this. His scarf hung loose. He looked like he'd been standing there for hours. Kai's phone buzzed again. 6 minutes. He gripped the handlebars tighter, knuckles white. Just go. Someone else will stop. But even as he thought it, he knew the truth. No one else was coming. The streets were empty. The storm was getting worse. And that old man was about to freeze to death alone. Kai's mother's voice came back stronger this time. Pay attention, Kai. Some people aren't meant to be ignored. He exhaled shakily. The delivery meant everything. The money meant survival. The job meant hope. But what did survival mean if he became the kind of person who could leave someone to die? What kind of person would his brother think he'd become? Kai's foot hovered between the brake and the throttle. His heart hammered against his ribs. The clock ticked down. 5 minutes. And then, with a trembling breath, Kai made a choice that would change his life forever. He turned the scooter toward the old man. And stopped. Kai's scooter skidded to a stop on the ice. For a moment, he just sat there. Breath coming in short bursts. Steam rising into the frozen air. What are you doing? The old man still hadn't noticed him. Just kept staring at that crumpled paper. Lips moving in a whisper the wind kept stealing. The streetlight above him flickered. On. Off. On. Off. Like even the light couldn't decide if this man deserved to be seen. Snow gathered on his shoulders. In his hair. On his glasses that sat crooked on his face. He looked like he'd been forgotten by time itself. Kai's phone buzzed. He didn't look at it. Couldn't look away from the man. Up close, he looked worse. Way worse. Deep lines carved into his face. Eyes swollen from cold. Lips almost blue. Hands shaking so badly the paper rattled. This wasn't just someone waiting for a bus. This was someone unraveling. A bus screamed past without stopping. The old man didn't even lift his hand. Just swayed slightly, like a tree about to fall. Kai's throat tightened. He'd seen people beg before. For food. For warmth. For a place to sleep. But this was different. This was a man begging the universe not to forget he existed. Kai swung his leg off the scooter. His boots hit the ground with a soft crunch. The old man's head turned slowly. Painfully. Like every muscle fought against it. Their eyes met. And something cracked open inside Kai's chest. The man's gaze wasn't desperate. It was lost. Lost in a way that felt too familiar. Too close. Too human to ignore. A faint, broken whisper escaped the man's lips. Please. Someone. Kai stepped closer. Sir. Nothing. Sir, you okay? The man blinked. Slowly. Like he was pulling Kai into focus from another world. Cold. I'm trying to find. His hand lifted the paper, shaking too much for Kai to read. Kai's heart twisted. Behind him, his phone exploded with buzzing. Incoming call. The manager. The deadline. The job he was about to lose. Everything he needed to survive was slipping through his fingers right now. But the old man's eyes held him frozen. Eyes that looked like they'd been searching for someone for far too long. Can I help? Kai heard himself ask. The man's shoulders sagged, like those 3 words lifted a weight crushing him. He offered the map toward Kai with trembling fingers. Kai reached for it. His phone buzzed violently again. His stomach dropped. He already knew what this meant. He was about to lose everything. But as his fingers touched the worn paper, as the old man's grateful eyes met his, Kai realized something. Some choices cost everything. But some choices define who you are. And maybe, just maybe, this freezing night under a dying streetlight was exactly where he was supposed to be. Even if it destroyed him. The phone kept buzzing. The paper trembled between their hands. And the storm howled louder. Like it knew what was coming next, the phone wouldn't stop. Buzz. 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 Each vibration felt like a knife twisting deeper into Kai's gut. He stared at the crumpled map in the old man's shaking hands, but all he could hear was the screaming inside his own head. 2 voices. Fighting. Tearing him apart. The first voice was sharp, cold. Familiar. This job is all you have. You mess this up, you're homeless. You're starving. You're done. The second voice was quieter. Gentler. His mother's voice from better days. If someone needs help, baby, you stop. Doesn't matter who they are. Kai's fingers trembled as he reached for the map. He couldn't do this. He couldn't help. He needed that job. Needed the room. Needed to eat. Tonight wasn't the night to be a hero. His thumb moved toward the scooter throttle. Leave. Now. Before it's too late. But then the old man whispered again. So soft. So broken. Please. I'm lost. Kai froze. That word. Lost. The same word Kai whispered 2 years ago when his brother disappeared. The same word he screamed at police who didn't care. The same word that echoed in his chest every single night since. A bus blasted past, splashing slush onto the sidewalk. The old man didn't even flinch. Just stared at the map like it held the answer to everything. Like if he looked hard enough, the world would make sense again. Kai knew that feeling. He knew what it meant to search for something that kept slipping away. His throat burned. I can't, he whispered to himself. I can't afford this. But even as he said it, his feet wouldn't move. The old man swayed. Again, legs giving out slightly. Kai's hand shot out, steadying him. Careful. The man looked up, eyes watery and distant. Thank you. Thank you. Kai's heart cracked. When was the last time someone thanked him for anything? When was the last time someone saw him as more than a delivery boy running late? His phone exploded in his pocket again. This time, he knew. He was out of time. The manager was calling. The deadline had passed. Everything he'd worked for was about to collapse. Kai pulled out the phone with shaking hands. Manager, calling. The name glowed like a death sentence. Kai's stomach twisted into knots. Answer it. Explain. Beg. Lie. But the old man's hand suddenly gripped his sleeve. Weak. Desperate. Please don't leave me. Kai looked down at him. At the trembling hands. At the fear in his eyes. At the humanity nobody else bothered to see. And something inside Kai shattered. He thought about his brother. About the night Laron vanished trying to help someone. About the promise his mother made him repeat every day before she got too sick. We help people, Kai. Even when it costs us. Kai's vision blurred. The phone kept ringing. The storm kept howling. And Kai made the choice. He pressed decline. Let the phone drop back into his pocket. And turned fully toward the old man. I'm not leaving, Kai said quietly. I'm here. The old man's eyes filled with tears. Kai's phone buzzed one final time. A text message. He didn't need to read it to know what it said. He was fired. His future just disappeared. But for the first time in 2 years Kai felt like his brother would be proud. Kai's boots crunched through the snow as he stepped closer. Each step felt heavier than it should. Like the cold wasn't just freezing the world around him, it was freezing the choice he'd just made. His heartbeat slammed against his ribs. Fast. Uneven. Scared. He wasn't sure if he was walking toward trouble or fate or something he'd regret forever. But he kept moving. The old man still hadn't fully noticed him. His trembling fingers gripped that wrinkled paper like it was the only thing keeping him tethered to reality. His lips moved in that small, heartbreaking whisper the wind kept stealing. Kai stopped a few feet away. Close enough to help. Far enough to run if things went wrong. He swallowed hard. Sir? Nothing. The wind howled louder. Kai cleared his throat, raising his voice. Sir? You okay? Still nothing. Just the sound of paper rustling in those shaking hands. Kai stepped closer. The man finally turned his head. Slowly. Painfully. Like every muscle resisted. When their eyes met, Kai felt something jolt in his chest. The man's gaze was unfocused. Watery. Drifting between two worlds, the one in front of him and one he couldn't fully remember. Are you lost? Kai asked softly. The old man blinked. His lips parted. A faint, broken voice escaped. Cold. I'm trying to find. His hand lifted the map, but it shook too violently for Kai to see anything. Kai's breath hitched. This wasn't just confusion. This was someone's mind slipping away right in front of him. Can I help? Kai asked gently. The man's shoulders sagged in relief. Like those 3 words lifted a crushing weight. He offered the map toward Kai with trembling fingers. Kai reached for it. His phone exploded in his pocket. Violent buzzing that made him flinch so hard he almost dropped the map. His stomach plummeted. The manager. The deadline. The job he'd just sacrificed. Kai stared at the buzzing phone, frozen between 2 worlds. The old man's weak, trembling map in his hands. And the angry call from the only person paying him to survive. His throat tightened. Answer it. Don't answer it. Explain. Beg. Run. Help. Every thought crashed together like a storm inside a storm. Kai's hand shook as he pulled out the phone. Manager, calling. The name pulsed in big, angry letters. He pressed accept. Where are you? The voice exploded through the speaker. Raw. Furious. Kai winced. I'm close. I'm sorry, something, I told you already, Kai. No more excuses. The words sliced through him like ice. You're late again. Do you understand what that means? Kai pressed his hand to his forehead. I know, but there's a man here who. I don't care about some man. The manager's voice was venom. You're done. Last warning means last. You're fired. Bring the bag back tonight or don't come at all. The world tilted. Fired. The word echoed like a gunshot. Kai's throat closed. His legs felt weak. No, he whispered, voice cracking. Please don't. I need this. The call ended. Screen went dark. Silence crashed over him. Thicker than the cold. Heavier than the snow. Kai stood there, staring at the dead phone in his hand. Everything just fell apart. Rent. Food. Survival. Gone. A soft rustling sound pulled him back. The old man was still standing there. Still trembling. Still lost. Still waiting. And through the storm, Kai heard him whisper, "Help. Please." Kai lowered the phone. Wiped his face with shaking hands. Took a long, broken breath. He'd lost everything. But he hadn't lost himself. He turned to the old man. I'm here. Kai said quietly. I'm not going anywhere. And somehow, saying those words felt like the first honest thing he'd done in years. Kai slipped the phone back into his pocket. It felt heavier now. Like a stone dragging his hope into darkness. Fired. The word pulsed behind his eyes. Sharp. Merciless. He tried to swallow the panic crawling up his throat, but it stuck there. Thick. Painful. The old man watched him with fragile uncertainty. Body trembling like every second in the cold chipped away pieces of him. Snow collected in the grooves of his coat. On his pale, shaking hands. His knuckles were red, almost purple. The paper fluttered in his grip, tugged by the wind like it wanted to escape. Kai took a steadying breath. Let me see that, he said gently. The old man blinked twice, pulling Kai into focus. Then slowly, like the motion hurt, he extended the paper with trembling fingers. Kai took it carefully, making sure the wind didn't snatch it away. The paper was softer than it should be, worn thin by time. Folded so many times the creases had started to tear. Kai opened it slowly. It wasn't a bus map. It was stranger. A hand-drawn map. Sketched in uneven black ink. Messy lines. Shaky circles. Small notes scribbled in handwriting that looked like it came from hands that didn't always obey anymore. Kai squinted under the flickering streetlight. One word jumped out immediately. Ridgeview. His eyes widened. Ridgeview wasn't far. A neighborhood across town. Not great, but not the worst. The kind of place people passed through but didn't talk about. Kai traced the lines with his thumb. Streets. Alleys. A bus stop, a small X drawn beside a narrow stairway near the old community shelter. The old man's voice cracked. I'm looking. For someone. Kai lifted his eyes. Who? The man opened his mouth, but the words crumbled before reaching the air. He pressed a trembling hand to his temple, eyes squeezing shut like he was trying to pull a memory from behind a locked door. I knew the way. He whispered. I can't remember. Kai's chest tightened. This wasn't just someone lost. This was someone whose mind was slipping away. He stepped closer. What's your name? The old man blinked slowly, confusion clouding his eyes. I'm trying to find the boy who helped me. Kai froze. A cold feeling crawled up his spine. Sharper than the winter air. What boy? He whispered. The man's fingers twitched. 2 years ago. By the station, he saved me. I need to find him. The wind whipped around them, rattling the bus stop frame. Kai's heart stopped. 2 years ago. By the station. A boy who helped an old man. Kai knew that story. He knew it too well. Because that boy was his brother. His hand started shaking. The map trembled in his grip. What? Kai's voice cracked. What was his name? The old man rubbed his forehead, struggling. He told me, he said. His voice broke. Laron. The world stopped, the wind. The snow. Everything. Kai staggered back, legs nearly giving out. The map slipped from his fingers, fluttering to the ground. Laron. His brother's name. From a stranger's lips. After 2 years of silence. 2 years of searching. 2 years of believing he'd never know what happened. And now this old man, this trembling, lost stranger just said the one name that shattered Kai's entire world. Tell me everything. Kai whispered, voice breaking. Please. Tell me everything. Kai couldn't breathe. The name hung in the frozen air between them. Laron. His brother. The brother who vanished 2 years ago without a trace. The brother police said probably ran away. The brother everyone told Kai to forget. And this stranger, this lost old man, just spoke his name like it was a prayer. Kai bent down, fingers numb, and picked up the map. He smoothed it with shaking hands. Please. Kai whispered. Tell me about Laron. At the sound of the name, the old man's face softened. But it wasn't happiness. It was sorrow. The kind that comes from carrying guilt heavier than memory. He rubbed his temple, breath shaking. I remember the cold, he murmured. The night was like this. Cruel. I'd gotten confused. Wandered too far from home trying to get to the station. His face twisted with shame. Kai leaned closer, barely breathing. I was frightened, the man continued. People walked by. So many, no one stopped. I didn't know where I was. Didn't know my own name for a moment. He paused, assembling broken pieces. Then a boy found me. His voice was warm. Steady. He held my hand so I wouldn't fall. Kai's chest tightened so hard it hurt. He stayed with me, the old man whispered. Wouldn't let me go. Helped me to the shelter by the station. He said his name was Laron. His eyes glistened. He saved me. Kai's vision blurred. His throat burned. What happened after? Kai's voice cracked. Where did he go? The man's face clouded. His brow furrowed as he pressed both hands to his head. He whispered. I remember sitting at the shelter. A nurse offered water. Laron said he'd be right back. Kai's heart dropped. And then, the man's voice thinned to barely a whisper. He never returned. Silence slammed into them. 3 words that destroyed everything. He never returned. Kai felt his legs weaken. His brother wasn't running away. Didn't abandon him. Didn't disappear without reason. Something happened that night. Something nobody saw. Something only this man remembered. Do you remember anything else? Kai whispered desperately. The old man shut his eyes tight, fighting a storm inside his own mind. Yes, he breathed. He was afraid. Someone was calling his name. The world tilted beneath Kai's feet. Who? Kai demanded. The man opened his eyes, fear flickering in them. I can't remember clearly. But I know this. He clutched Kai's arm with surprising strength. Your brother didn't leave you. Kai's breath caught. The man's next words came out like a death sentence. Someone took him. Kai staggered back. His heart slammed so hard against his ribs it hurt. The frozen night suddenly felt terrifyingly alive. Someone took him. Not missing. Not ran away. Taken. Kai's hands curled into fists. Hot tears burned his eyes. For 2 years, everyone told him to move on. To accept it. To forget. But Laron didn't leave. He was saving someone. And someone made him disappear. Kai looked at the trembling old man, the last person to see his brother alive. What else? Kai's voice was raw. Desperate. Please. What else do you remember? The man's lips trembled. A man. In the alley, tall. Dark coat. His fingers twitched like reaching into the past. He said Laron's name. Twice. Like he knew him. Ice flooded Kai's veins. Colder than the storm. Colder than the night. Someone called his brother's name. Someone knew him. Someone took him. And nobody cared enough to look. Kai wiped his face with shaking hands. I'm finding him, Kai whispered. The old man nodded weakly. I'll help you. I promised I'd return the kindness. I just lost the path. Kai gripped the map tighter. 2 lost souls. 1 shared mission, and somewhere in this frozen city, the truth was waiting. For a few long seconds, neither of them spoke. The wind settled into a low, steady moan, swirling through the hollow street like it was mourning everything they'd just uncovered. The map fluttered in Kai's hands, soft, thin, trembling just like the man who carried it. Kai looked down at the ink lines again. At the crooked alleys. At the fragile scrawls. This wasn't just a map. It was a memory trying not to die. A trail drawn by a man afraid of losing the story before he could finish it. Who made this? Kai asked softly. The old man blinked, confusion clouding his face. Then the fog parted slightly. I did, he whispered, so I wouldn't forget. So I could keep searching. Kai exhaled shakily. You've been doing this alone? The man nodded. Small. Heartbreaking. People don't see me. They don't stop. They just keep walking. Kai felt something twist inside him. That was the bitter truth of this city. If you weren't loud, people treated you like silence. Kai stepped closer, voice steadier now. You shouldn't be out here alone. It's freezing. You could've. He stopped himself. The old man didn't need a reminder of how fragile he was. The cold had already carved that truth into his bones. Kai glanced at the map again. One phrase was written near the edge, faint but legible. Don't forget the promise. Kai's heartbeat stuttered. What promise? The man swallowed hard, lowering his head. He told me. If you ever see someone alone like that, help them. Doesn't matter who they are. Kai froze. Those were the exact words his mother used to say. The same words that made him stop tonight. For a moment, the universe felt terrifyingly small. Threads pulling together. Weaving 2 lives into the same impossible knot. Kai looked at the old man with new clarity. He wasn't just a stranger. He was the last person to see Laron. The last person to hear his voice. The only living witness to the night Kai's world fell apart. What's your name? Kai asked gently. The man hesitated, searching his own memory. Elias, he finally whispered. My name is Elias. Kai nodded. Elias, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you find whatever you're looking for. He held up the fragile map. But I need you to help me too. Elias blinked, startled. Help you how? Kai's voice was firm now. Determined. We're going to retrace these steps. Together. Elias stared at him, lost, desperate, but also strangely hopeful. Like someone finally understood the language of his broken memories. A sharp wind billowed the map in Kai's hands. But he held it firm. 2 lost souls. 1 worn map. 1 shared destiny. Kai looked at the first marking on the map. The alley near the station. The place where everything began. Can you walk? Kai asked. Elias nodded weakly. I'll try. Kai offered his arm. Elias took it, leaning heavily against him. And together, they took the first step. Into the storm. Into the past. Into the frozen maze of Riverstone Heights. Where somewhere buried beneath years of snow and secrets lay the next piece of the truth. The wind howled. The city watched. And two strangers walked forward. Bound by a name. Laron. The boy who saved one. The brother who never came home. And tonight they were going to find out why. Kai tightened his grip on the worn map as another gust tore through the street. The storm had grown heavier. Snow swirling in chaotic spirals. The world looking hazy, like the night was trying to hide the truth they were chasing. Elias hunched deeper into his thin coat, breath hitching in small, fragile bursts. His legs wobbled. His body swayed like a branch fighting a losing battle. Kai noticed instantly. "Hey, careful," he said, steadying Elias with one hand on his elbow. The old man's skin felt like ice. His arm shook beneath Kai's grip. "I'm fine," Elias whispered. But the tremble in his voice betrayed him. Kai shook his head. "No, you're not. We need to move. You can't stay out here." Elias hesitated, eyes drifting back toward the station. Like his memories lived there. Scattered across the ground like broken pieces waiting to be found. Kai unfolded the map again. Snowflakes landed on it, melting instantly, threatening to blur the ink. He shielded it with his hands, scanning the shaky markings. The trail began where they stood. A small circle around the bus stop. Then a line curving down the block. A second circle. A narrow alley. A crossout. A redrawn path. Notes scribbled in the margin, some legible, some smudged into nothing. This wasn't just a map. It was a desperate attempt to keep a memory from fading. A record of a man fighting time itself. Kai swallowed hard. "We start here," he said. "Step by step." Elias looked at him, confusion clouding his face. "I tried," he whispered. "So many times, but I always get lost." Kai nodded. "I know. But you weren't with me before." He offered his arm. Elias hesitated, then slowly placed his cold hand on Kai's. It was heavier than Kai expected. A connection between past and present. Between a boy searching for answers and a man searching for a promise he'd forgotten how to keep. "Lean on me if you need to," Kai said. "We're going together." Elias's lips parted, forming a small, grateful smile. The first real one Kai had seen. The city groaned beneath the storm. Snowflakes caught in Kai's eyelashes. The wind howled. And Kai took the first step. Elias followed. Two silhouettes moving through the storm. They reached the end of the street where the map's line bent sharply into a narrow alley. Kai lifted the paper, squinting. Elias slowed, staring at the alley with wary eyes. "This is where things get hard," Elias whispered. Kai looked at him sharply. "You remember this place?" Elias's throat bobbed. "Flashes. Pieces. I remember a voice." His fingers twitched. Someone calling Laron's name. Someone who shouldn't have known it. Kai's heartbeat picked up speed. He turned toward the alley. It was narrow. Too narrow. Barely enough space for two people. Brick walls leaning inward like they wanted to crush the space between them. Garbage bins toppled over. Broken glass glittering under dim light, half buried in snow like tiny sharp stars. The wind funneled through, making a hollow, eerie whistle. Kai hesitated. This alley felt wrong. Like a wound carved into the city. "Laron came through here?" he whispered. Elias nodded slowly. "He led me through. Holding my hand. Said it was safer this way. That we needed to hurry." A cold pulse ran through Kai's spine. "Safer from what?" Elias's face tightened. "I don't know. But I felt danger. Not the kind you see." His voice lowered. "The kind you sense." Kai stared into the darkness. Somewhere in that narrow corridor, a piece of his brother's story was waiting. Fear gnawed at his stomach. But he stepped forward anyway. Because the truth, no matter how dark, was finally within reach. The alley swallowed them whole. The wind once howling behind them became a distant murmur. Here, sound changed. Echoed differently. Bounced strangely. Trapped between tall, leaning walls that seemed eager to close in. Kai tightened his grip on Elias's arm, helping him navigate around patches of black ice and hidden debris beneath the snow. Each step was cautious. Deliberate. His breath formed tight clouds, fogging his vision for split seconds that made him blink rapidly. The deeper they walked, the darker it became. City lights barely reached this far. Only the pale winter moon, reflected faintly off the snow, offered the slightest guidance. Elias stopped suddenly. Kai turned to him. "What's wrong?" The old man's gaze drifted downward. He lifted a trembling hand and pointed. At first Kai didn't see anything. Then he did. Half hidden under fresh snow were faint footprints, just impressions of toes and heel edges. The snow had softened them. Made them older, blurred. But the shape was unmistakable. Someone had walked through here recently. Kai's heart skipped. No, not someone. Many people. Overlapping prints in different directions. Some shallow. Some deep. Kai crouched, brushing away snow. "These aren't from tonight," he murmured, "but not that old either." He looked back at Elias. "Do you remember people being here that night?" Elias's eyes clouded. He pressed fingers to his temple. "Shadows," he whispered. "2, maybe 3. They moved quickly." Kai's pulse spiked. "And Laron? Where was he?" Elias swallowed hard. "In front of me. Protecting me. He kept telling me not to slow down. Said someone was following us." He paused, voice trembling. He said, "Don't let go of my hand, sir." Kai's throat tightened. His brother had always been like that, caring, protective, brave even when he shouldn't have been. The alley curved slightly left. Kai lifted the map. The inked line followed the same curve. This was the right path. He helped Elias along until they reached the bend, where the wind suddenly shifted. A sharp gust swept through, strong enough to nearly knock Kai off balance. Snowflakes blasted their faces. Kai shielded his eyes. And noticed something on the wall. A faint smear. Dark. Long. Like someone had dragged their hand against the brick. "Elias," Kai whispered, stepping closer. "Do you remember this?" The old man stared at the mark. His breath quivered. His eyes shimmered with the ghost of a memory. "Yes," he breathed. "Laron slipped. Hit the wall. Told me not to worry." Elias's voice cracked. He was bleeding. Kai staggered back like he'd been struck. The world tilted. His brother was hurt. Bleeding. Still protecting someone. And nobody knew. Nobody looked. Nobody cared. Fear clawed at Kai's insides. But beneath it a spark of determination lit in his chest. He murmured, gripping Elias's arm tighter. "We follow the prince. We follow the map. We follow him." He leaned into the storm, guiding Elias deeper into the alley. The walls seemed to press closer. The darkness thickened. And somewhere ahead. In that suffocating blackness, Kai felt it. A presence. A memory. A truth waiting to surface. His brother had walked this exact path. Scared. Hurt. Protecting a stranger. And Kai was about to discover what happened next. The alley opened into a narrow courtyard. And there, beneath a rusted fire escape, Kai saw something that made his blood run cold. Something small. Metal. Gleaming faintly in the snow. He stepped closer. Knelt down. Brushed the snow away with trembling fingers. And gasped. It was a key. Kai's fingers closed around the key. Cold. Heavy. Real. His heart hammered so hard he could hear it in his ears. The courtyard felt even colder than the alley, unnervingly still. Snow collected in corners like untouched relics of forgotten nights. A rusted fire escape zigzagged up an abandoned building, metal steps creaking under the wind's push. Kai lifted the key into the dim light. Not a house key. Not a locker key from school. Something else. A small engraved tag dangled from it. Kai brushed away melting snow from the metal surface. His breath stopped. The engraving shimmered faintly. R.M. Locker 12. Elias gasped softly behind him. Is that? Kai whispered. Elias leaned forward, eyes widening. That looks familiar. He murmured. Laron had it that night. He was holding it when he saw me. He said he had to get to a locker. That it was important. Kai felt his pulse hammer in his throat. A locker. Something Laron needed to protect. What was inside? Kai pressed urgently. Elias's brow furrowed, struggling through fading memories. He didn't say. Only that someone was after it, and he couldn't let them find it. Kai's stomach twisted. Someone wasn't just following Laron. Someone wanted whatever was in that locker. Badly enough to make him disappear. The storm roared outside the courtyard, echoing like distant thunder. Elias shivered, clutching Kai's arm. He dropped it, Elias whispered. Right here. He told me to keep moving. And then, he said. His voice crumbled. If anything happens to me, someone will come for you. Someone with a good heart. Kai's eyes burned. A tear slipped down his cheek, cold as the night. His brother had known. Known danger was closing in. Known he might not return. And still he'd protected a stranger. Kai closed his fist around the key. He was talking about me, he whispered. Elias's trembling hand touched Kai's shoulder. Yes, he murmured. He was. Kai stared at the engraving again. R.M. Ridgeview Metro. The underground station across town. The one Laron always passed through. Whatever his brother was protecting, whatever got him taken. It was waiting in locker 12. Kai stood slowly, pulling Elias up with him. His voice was firm now. Determined. We're going to Ridgeview, he said. Tonight. Elias's eyes widened. But the storm. I don't care about the storm, Kai said, voice shaking with emotion. My brother left this for a reason. Someone took him because of what's in that locker. He gripped the key tighter. I'm not waiting another 2 years to find out why. Elias nodded weakly, fear and hope mixing in his eyes. Then I'm coming with you. Kai looked at him, this fragile, old man, who'd been searching alone for so long. You sure? You sure? Elias's voice was stronger than it had been all night. I made a promise. And I keep my promises. Kai felt something shift inside him. He wasn't alone anymore. They had each other. They had the map. Locker the truth was waiting. Kai pocketed the key carefully. Helped Elias to his feet. And together, they turned toward the exit of the alley. Toward Ridgeview Metro. Toward answers. Toward justice. The wind howled. The night pressed down, but Kai didn't stop. Because for the first time in 2 years, he had hope. The wind grew harsher the moment they stepped out of the alley. Like the storm had been waiting for them to return to open ground. It slammed into them with brutal force, snow whipping sideways, bitter cold clawing at exposed skin, the world dissolving into chaotic white. Kai adjusted his grip on Elias's arm, pulling him closer to shield him from the wind. Elias stumbled once. Then twice. His legs barely able to carry him. Kai steadied him each time, jaw clenched. Breath sharp. The key, Laron's key, felt heavy in his pocket. Too heavy. Like it carried the weight of every question he'd been asking for 2 years. We need to hurry, Kai said, raising his voice above the storm. Elias blinked up at him. Snowflakes gathered on his eyelashes, melting into trembling droplets. I'm trying, son. I'm just tired. Kai swallowed. I know. We'll move slowly. But we're not stopping. They pushed forward, step by step, leaving the alley behind. The streets felt different now, not just dangerous, but alive. Buzzing with an energy Kai couldn't explain. A shift. A pull. Like the city itself knew they were chasing something buried deep within its bones. Ridgeview Metro was several blocks away. The storm made every footstep a struggle. Kai guided Elias along walls, around dumpsters, through narrow shortcuts his delivery routes had forced him to memorize. His scooter would have helped, but the path was too slippery. And Elias too unstable. So they walked. With every block, Kai's mind raced. A locker, a key. Someone calling Laron's name. Shadows in the alley. Overlapping footprints. A smear of blood on the wall. Everything lined up in a way that made his chest tighten. Elias, Kai said suddenly, do you remember what Laron said about the locker? Anything else? Elias frowned, breath uneven. He pressed a hand to his forehead. He said, it held something important. Something someone wanted from him. Something he had to protect. Kai's jaw clenched. What kind of something? I don't know. Elias murmured helplessly. He wouldn't show me. He only said. He paused. If anything happens, the locker will explain everything. Kai felt the hair on the back of his neck rise. Explain everything. The thought pulsed like a heartbeat. The storm thinned briefly as they crossed a small intersection. In the distance, the Ridgeview Metro entrance. A wide concrete staircase leading underground. Its neon sign flickering like it was struggling to stay alive against the wind. Elias gasped softly. I've been here before. He whispered. So many times. Trying to remember. Kai nodded, gripping the key in his pocket. We're almost there. Just stay with me. But as they approached the staircase, something shifted in the air. Elias's body tensed. His hand tightened painfully on Kai's sleeve. Kai. He whispered, eyes wide with fear. I remember something else. Kai turned sharply. What? Elias swallowed hard. When Laron went toward the station that night. Someone followed him inside. Kai's blood ran colder than the snow. Who? He pressed. Tell me who. But Elias shook his head violently, memories slipping away too fast. I don't know. But I remember this. He leaned closer, voice barely a whisper against the raging wind. Laron wasn't running from someone. Kai's breath caught. He was leading them away from me. The world spun. Kai froze. His brother hadn't been escaping. He'd been protecting Elias. From someone dangerous. And tonight the truth waited beneath the city. In Locker 12. Kai looked at the dark staircase descending into the metro. His heart pounded. Fear and determination warring inside him. Let's go, he whispered. And together, they descended into the underworld. The Ridgeview Metro entrance yawned before them like a frozen mouth. Swallowing the steps into darkness lit only by flickering fluorescent lights. The wind pushed at Kai's back, urging him downward. Elias hesitated like some part of him understood that whatever waited below was not just memory, but revelation. Kai tightened his grip on Elias's arm. Hold on to me. We go together. Elias nodded, though his legs trembled violently. The concrete steps were slick with ice. Each one threatened to send them tumbling into the shadows below. Kai moved slowly, bracing both of them with every step. The air grew warmer as they descended, but heavier, too thick with dust, metal, and history. When they reached the bottom, the night outside felt far away. Muffled by underground walls. The station was nearly empty. Old posters peeled from tiled walls. Lights buzzed overhead like tired insects. The faint echo of dripping water resonated through the corridors. Kai scanned the empty space. Heart pounding. Locker 12. He had to find it. Elias looked around, dazed. "I've been here," he whispered. "I walked these halls. Searched. And searched." Kai guided him along the corridor. Their footsteps echoed eerily, bouncing back in uneven patterns. Each sound felt like someone or something was following close behind. Kai kept glancing over his shoulder. Just in case. After a few turns, they found the row of lockers. Cold. Gray. Numbered in faded black paint. Kai's breath caught in his throat. 10. 11, 12. There it was. Locker 12 sat slightly apart from the others, as if time had pushed it away. The paint was chipped. The metal dented. A small scratch ran across the front like claw marks. Kai reached into his pocket and pulled out the key. It glinted under the buzzing fluorescent light. Elias inhaled sharply. "That's it," he whispered. "That's the one Laurent used." Kai swallowed, heart slamming in his chest. Elias closed his eyes. He said, "It was something that could help people. Something important. Something dangerous in the wrong hands." Kai stared at the key. If this locker held the truth, about Laurent. About the night he vanished. About the danger he'd been running from, then opening it meant crossing a line that would change everything. His hand trembled as he slid the key into the lock. But before he could turn it, Elias suddenly grabbed his sleeve, eyes wide with terror. "Kai, wait." Kai spun to him. "What? What is it?" Elias's voice shook so violently the words barely formed. There was someone else here that night. Someone watching. Someone who knew about the locker. His voice choked with fear. Someone who didn't want Laurent to open it. Kai froze, the key halfway turned. The station lights flickered. A cold dread washed over him, thick and suffocating. Someone dangerous had been here that night. Someone who might still be watching. Someone Juan Washin, who didn't want this truth uncovered. And Kai was standing exactly where his brother once stood. With the same key. At the same locker. In the same danger. He took a breath, long, steady, full of resolve. Whatever truth waited inside, he needed it. He turned the key. Click. The locker unlocked. The world seemed to hold its breath. Kai pulled the door open slowly. The creak echoed down the empty hallway. Inside, in the far corner, beneath dust and forgotten time. A small worn leather pouch. Kai's throat tightened. He reached in with trembling fingers. Lifted it out carefully. Elias stepped closer, barely breathing. Kai untied the frayed string. Inside was a folded letter. A tiny flash drive. A torn photograph. Kai unfolded the letter first. Laurent's handwriting. Rushed. Jagged. Fearful. "If you're reading this, something went wrong." Kai's chest constricted painfully. The next line destroyed him. "Kai, I'm going to try to lead them away. I'll come back for you. I promise." Tears blurred Kai's vision. His brother hadn't abandoned him. He'd been trying to save him. And whatever was on that flash drive was worth dying for. Kai's hands shook as he held the letter. Laurent's handwriting. His brother's actual words. After 2 years of silence, here was proof he'd been thinking about Kai until the very end. Kai read the rest through blurred vision. "I found something I wasn't supposed to see. Someone dangerous is following me. I don't have time to explain everything, but what's on the drive, it proves what he's done. Don't trust anyone. Keep the old man safe." Kai's breath hitched. Keep the old man safe. He glanced at Elias, who stared at the pouch like seeing a ghost. The final line hit Kai like a punch to the gut. "Kai. I'm going to try to lead them away. I'll come back for you. I promise. A sob caught in Kai's throat. His brother hadn't abandoned him. He'd been protecting him. And he never got the chance to come home. Kai wiped his face roughly, forcing himself to focus. He looked at the photograph next. It showed Laron smiling, standing beside Elias, but the third figure between them was torn out. Only a ripped edge remained. Someone had been removed from this picture. Deliberately. Who was with you? Kai demanded, turning to Elias. Elias shook his head frantically, pressing a trembling hand to his forehead. I don't know. He whispered. The memory is broken. But I remember fear. A voice. Someone saying. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. Give it to me. Kai stiffened. That voice. That demand. Someone wanted the drive. He finally looked at the tiny flash drive in the pouch. Small. Ordinary. Unimpressive. But the weight of it felt enormous. What's on this? Kai breathed. Before Elias could answer, a sharp metallic clang echoed from somewhere deeper in the station. Kai jerked around. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Approaching. Elias grabbed Kai's arm, panic flooding his face. Kai, he whispered urgently. There. Back. The locker door slammed shut behind them. But Kai knew better. That wasn't the wind. The footsteps grew louder. Echoing through the empty corridor. Getting closer. Kai shoved the letter, photograph, and flash drive back into the pouch. Stuffed it deep into his pocket. We need to hide, he whispered. They stumbled toward the nearest corner, a narrow recess beside an old vending machine. Not much cover. But enough shadow to disappear if they pressed close. Kai pulled Elias into the alcove, pressing a finger to his lips. Elias nodded weakly, breath shaking. The footsteps grew louder. Tap. 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 Kai held his breath. A tall figure appeared at the far end of the corridor. Black coat. Broad shoulders. A slow, calculating stride. The kind of man whose presence filled every inch of space with quiet intimidation. Kai's stomach twisted. Even from a distance, something about him felt wrong. The man paused at the row of lockers. Stood still. Then turned his head. Directly toward locker 12. Kai froze. Had he seen them? Heard the click of the lock? Sensed the disruption of a memory buried 2 years deep? The man bent slightly, inspecting the locker door. His gloved fingers brushed the metal surface. He tested the handle gently. Locked. He straightened slowly. Then Kai heard him speak low. Smooth, dangerous. So someone finally opened it. Kai's heart slammed against his ribs. The voice. The tone. Elias reacted instantly. He covered his mouth, eyes going wide with raw, paralyzing fear. Kai leaned in close. What is it? Do you remember him? Elias nodded, tears welling. That voice, he whispered. That's the man who called Laron's name. The figure stepped back from the locker, scanning the corridor with cold precision. And then he started walking. Toward them. The footsteps slithered through the empty station like a warning. Soft at first. Then sharper. Clearer. Heavier. Kai's pulse spiked. The air thickened, charged with the kind of danger that needed no explanation. Elias's hand tightened painfully around Kai's sleeve, his entire body shuddering not from cold now, but from memory. Kai. Elias whispered, voice cracking. We have to hide. Kai pressed them deeper into the shadows, praying the darkness would swallow them whole. The lights flickered overhead, casting intermittent shadows across the hallway. Every time the lights blinked, the darkness seemed to move closer, as if something was stepping forward only when unobserved. The man's footsteps continued. Tap. 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 Growing louder with each echo. Kai held his breath until his lungs burned. The tall figure came into clearer view. Black coat hanging heavy on broad shoulders. Movements precise. Controlled. Predatory. The kind of man who didn't rush because he knew his prey had nowhere to run. He stopped at locker 12 again. Ran his gloved hand across the metal. Then he spoke quiet enough that it felt like the words were meant only for the locker itself. Someone's been here. Kai's blood turned to ice. The man turned his head slowly, scanning the corridor with eyes that cut through shadows. Kai pressed Elias further back, willing them both to become invisible. I can feel it, the man continued, his voice smooth and venomous. The lock's been turned. Recently. He straightened, hands sliding into his coat pockets. Whoever you are. He paused. You just made a very dangerous mistake. Elias trembled violently beside Kai. His breathing grew rapid. Panicked. Kai clamped a hand gently over Elias's mouth, eyes pleading for silence. The man began moving again. Not away. Toward them. Tap. 10 feet, tap. 7 feet. Tap. 5 feet. Kai's heart hammered so loud he feared the man could hear it. A flicker of light revealed the shape of the man's face, sharp angles, cold eyes scanning like a predator searching for movement. Elias whispered one last trembling sentence against Kai's palm. Kai. If he finds you with that drive, he won't let you leave. Alive. Kai's mind raced. They couldn't stay hidden much longer. His eyes darted across the station. Emergency exit sign. Broken payphone. Staircase to the east platform. A maintenance tunnel partially concealed by a half-open gate. There. A way out. Barely a chance. But it was all they had. Kai leaned into Elias's ear, whispering so quietly even the shadows could barely hear. When the light flickers again, run with me. Elias nodded weakly. Kai watched the overhead lights. Buzz. Buzz. Then flicker, now. Kai grabbed Elias's arm and ran. Their boots slammed against tile. Elias stumbled but Kai held him up. The man shouted behind them, "Hey!" The sound erupted like a gunshot. Kai didn't look back. They sprinted toward the maintenance gate. The man's footsteps thundered after them fast, much faster than someone his size should move. Kai shoved the gate open just enough for their bodies to slip through. The metal screamed. Too loud. Lights burst alive behind them as the man reached the gate, grabbing the bars with a furious rattle. Kai! Elias cried, tripping. Kai caught him, pulling him upright. Keep moving. Don't stop. They ran through the tunnel, dark, narrow, lit only by faint emergency lights. Behind them, the man roared in frustration, forcing the gate open. Kai's legs burned. His lungs screamed. Elias gasped with every step but kept going, driven by terror and determination. The tunnel sloped upward. A faint orange light appeared ahead, another exit. The gate behind them clanged violently as the man forced it open. Kai! Elias gasped. He's coming. I know. They burst through into a smaller station entrance, abandoned but connected to the street above. Cold air slapped their faces. Kai shoved the door open. Snow blasted them, but the storm had never felt more welcoming. They spilled onto the street, breath ragged, feet slipping on ice. Behind them, a shadow emerged from the doorway. The man, scanning the street with eyes sharp enough to cut through snow. Kai pulled Elias behind a set of dumpsters. They crouched low. Hidden. Breathless. Praying. Kai pressed himself and Elias against the frozen metal of the dumpster. His heart pounded so violently he thought it would give them away. Elias trembled beside him, clutching Kai's sleeve like a lifeline. Through the swirling snow, Kai watched the shadow in the doorway. The man stood perfectly still. Scanning. Waiting. Hunting. The wind howled, but it wasn't loud enough to drown out the sound of Kai's racing pulse. The man took one step onto the street. Then another. His boots crunched in the snow with deliberate precision. He turned his head slowly, eyes sweeping across every shadow, every corner. Every possible hiding place. Kai held his breath until his chest burned. Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't exist. The man's gaze passed over the dumpsters. Lingered. Kai's blood froze. Did he see them? The seconds stretched like hours. Then. The man cursed under his breath. Low. Venomous. He turned sharply and disappeared back into the metro entrance. Kai didn't move for a long time. Neither did Elias. They stayed crouched in the snow, bodies shaking not just from cold, but from the raw terror of almost being caught. Finally, Kai exhaled. A long, trembling breath. He's gone, he whispered. Elias leaned against him, exhausted. You saved me. Elias breathed. Kai shook his head, still catching his breath. No. Laron saved you first. He placed a hand over his pocket, feeling the flash drive the truth burning like a small fire against his leg. Elias looked up, eyes softening despite the fear still lingering in them. You've got your brother's courage. Kai blinked hard, fighting the sting behind his eyes. No, he whispered. I've got his promise. He helped Elias to his feet. They stood there in the storm, two figures battered by wind and snow but still standing. Still alive. Still fighting. Kai looked down at the pouch in his pocket. The letter. The flash drive, the photograph with the torn figure. This isn't over, Kai said softly. But we know where to start now. Elias nodded weakly. What do we do? Kai's jaw tightened with determination. We find out what's on that drive. We find out who that man is. And we find out what happened to Laron. He turned to face Elias fully. You said Laron made you promise to help someone if they came looking. That was me. But now I'm making you a promise. His voice was steady despite the fear coursing through him. I'm going to finish what my brother started. I'm going to expose whoever took him. And I'm going to make sure his sacrifice wasn't for nothing. Elias's eyes filled with tears. He'd be proud of you. Kai felt emotion surge in his chest, but he pushed it down. There would be time to grieve later. Right now, they needed to survive. Behind them, the storm raged on. Ahead of them, the city stretched into darkness. But Kai wasn't running from something anymore. He was running toward it. Toward answers. Toward justice. Toward the truth that would finally bring his brother home. He gripped Elias's arm firmly. Come on. We need to get somewhere safe. Somewhere, we can figure out what's on this drive. Elias nodded. And together, two strangers bound by a promise, a memory, and a brother who refused to be forgotten. They stepped into the storm. Not as victims, but as survivors. The night had tried to break them, but they were still standing. And this was only the beginning. The real fight was about to start. Kai and Elias moved through the storm like ghosts. Every shadow felt like a threat. Every sound made Kai's heart skip. The man could be anywhere. Watching. Waiting. Following. Kai pulled Elias closer, guiding him through back alleys and narrow streets he'd memorized from months of deliveries. His mind raced with everything they just uncovered. The letter. The flash drive. The torn photograph. And that man, the one who'd called Laron's name 2 years ago. The one who was still hunting for whatever Laron had hidden. We need somewhere safe, Kai muttered, scanning the empty streets. Elias wheezed beside him, struggling to keep up. Where? Where can we go? Kai's jaw tightened. Nowhere felt safe anymore. Not the hostel where he stayed too obvious, not the shelters too public. Not anywhere the man might think to look. Then it hit him. The old library, Kai said suddenly. Elias blinked through the snow. Library? It's abandoned. Been closed for years. But I know a way in. Kai had discovered it months ago when he needed somewhere warm to sleep between shifts. A broken window in the back. A basement nobody checked. It wasn't much. But it was hidden. They pushed through 3 more blocks of brutal wind and blinding snow. Kai's fingers were numb. His face stung. But he didn't stop. Finally, the library appeared, a crumbling stone building with boarded windows and a faded sign hanging crooked above the door. Kai led Elias around back to the broken window. "Can you fit through?" Elias nodded weakly. Kai helped him climb through first, then followed. They dropped into the dark basement with a soft thud. The air inside was cold, but still no wind, no snow. Just silence. Blessed, terrifying silence. Kai pulled out his phone, using the dim screen light to navigate. Old shelves lined the walls, filled with forgotten books covered in dust. A single table sat in the corner with 2 chairs. Perfect. "Sit," Kai said, guiding Elias to a chair. The old man collapsed into it, breath ragged. Kai sat across from him and pulled out the leather pouch. His hands trembled as he opened it again. The flash drive sat in his palm, small, black, unremarkable. "But worth killing for. What do you think is on it?" Elias whispered. Kai shook his head. "I don't know. But whatever it is, someone powerful wants it buried." He pulled out his phone. No computer. No laptop, just his cracked phone with barely any battery left. It had a USB adapter he'd bought cheap months ago for transferring files. His fingers fumbled as he connected the flash drive. The screen flickered. Loading. Kai held his breath. Elias leaned forward. The folder appeared. 1 video file. 1 document. Kai's heart hammered. He clicked the video first. The screen went black. Then a voice. Laron's voice. "If you're watching this, I'm either dead or missing." Kai's breath caught. Tears blurred his vision instantly. His brother's face appeared on the screen, tired, scared, but determined. "Kai, if this is you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I couldn't come home." Laron glanced over his shoulder nervously. "I found something. Evidence of corruption. A man named Marcus Hale. He's been stealing from the city for years. Millions. And when I tried to report it..." Laron's voice cracked. "He found out. He's coming for me. But I can't let him destroy this evidence. It's the only proof." He leaned closer to the camera. "Kai. Don't trust the police. Don't trust anyone in power. Hale owns them. If you find this, expose him. Make people see what he's done." Laron's eyes filled with tears. "I love you, little brother. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you better. But you're stronger than you know." The video ended. The screen went black. Kai sat frozen, tears streaming down his face. His brother's last words. His final message. Marcus Hale. The name burned into Kai's mind like fire. That was the man hunting them. That was the man who took Laron. Kai's hands curled into fists. "We're going to destroy him," Kai whispered. Elias nodded, tears in his own eyes. "For Laron." Kai looked at the document file still unopened. He clicked it. And what he saw made his blood run cold. The document loaded slowly. Each second felt like an eternity. Kai's hands shook as he stared at the screen. Then the file opened. Pages and pages of financial records. Bank transfers. Fake contracts. Forged signatures. All leading to one name. Marcus Hale. Scrolled through. Eyes widening with every line. Millions stolen from city projects. Money meant for schools, hospitals, shelters, gone. Funneled into offshore accounts. Hidden behind shell companies. And the people who tried to expose him? A list of names at the bottom. People who'd disappeared. People who'd died in accidents. People the system had forgotten. Kai's throat tightened. His brother's name wasn't on the list. Because Laron had hidden the evidence before Hale could erase him completely. This is it, Kai whispered. This is what got him killed. Elias leaned closer, eyes scanning the screen. Marcus Hale. Elias murmured. I know that name. Kai turned sharply. What? Elias pressed his fingers to his temple, struggling to remember. He was there that night. At the station. I saw him. Kai's pulse exploded. Are you sure? Elias nodded slowly, memory sharpening. He was the one in the photograph. The one torn out. He was standing between me and Laron. Kai's mind raced. Marcus Hale wasn't just some corrupt official. He was there. He took Laron himself. Why were you with him? Kai asked urgently. Elias's face crumpled with confusion and shame. I don't remember clearly. But I think he pretended to help me. Before Laron found me. His voice dropped to a horrified whisper. I think he was using me as bait. Kai's stomach twisted. Hale had set a trap. Used a confused old man to lure someone with a good heart. And Laron walked right into it. Kai's vision blurred with rage and grief. His brother died because he cared. Because he stopped to help. Because he was everything good in a world run by men like Marcus Hale. We have to expose him, Kai said, voice shaking. We have everything we need right here. Elias grabbed his arm. But Kai, if Hale is as powerful as these documents say, going public could get us killed. Kai met his eyes. Then we make sure the truth gets out before he can stop us. He pulled out his phone. Mind working frantically. No police Hale owned them. No local news probably bought them too. But the internet? Social media? That was harder to control. I'm going to upload everything, Kai said. Every document. Every transfer. The video. All of it. His fingers flew across the screen, creating accounts, drafting posts. Elias watched, eyes wide with fear and hope. Will it work? It has to, Kai whispered. He attached the files. Wrote a simple message. 2 years ago, my brother Laron Denson disappeared trying to expose corruption. This is what he died protecting. Marcus Hale stole millions from our city and murdered anyone who tried to stop him. Share this everywhere. Don't let them bury the truth again. Kai's finger hovered over the post button. This was it. The moment that would either bring justice or get them killed. He thought of Laron's face in the video. His brother's final words. You're stronger than you know. Kai pressed post. The upload began. 1%. 5%. 10%. The library basement felt impossibly quiet. Just the sound of their breathing and the soft hum of the phone. Then, a loud bang from upstairs. Both of them froze. Someone was in the building. Heavy footsteps. Moving through the library above them. Searching. Elias's eyes went wide with terror. He found us, he breathed. Kai looked at his phone. 47% uploaded. Not enough. Not yet. The footsteps grew closer. Heading toward the basement stairs. Kai grabbed Elias's hand. We have to hide. Now. They scrambled behind a row of old shelves just as the basement door creaked open. A beam of light cut through the darkness. And a voice smooth, cold, familiar echoed down the stairs. I know you're down here, Kai. Marcus Hale had found them. And the upload was only at 68%. Kai's heart stopped. That voice. Smooth. Cold. Deadly. Marcus Hale descended the stairs slowly, each step deliberate. Like a predator that knew its prey had nowhere to run. The beam of his flashlight swept across the basement, cutting through shadows. Kai pressed himself and Elias deeper behind the shelves, phone clutched in his trembling hand. 72% uploaded. Come on. Come on. I have to admit. Hale's voice echoed through the darkness. I'm impressed you made it this far. He reached the bottom of the stairs. Your brother was clever too. Took me weeks to track him down after he stole my files. Kai's jaw clenched so hard his teeth hurt. Hale moved closer, flashlight scanning. But he made one fatal mistake. A pause. He cared too much about people who didn't matter. Rage exploded in Kai's chest. His brother's life mattered. Elias's life mattered. Every person Hale destroyed mattered. 79% uploaded. Come out, Kai, Hale said smoothly. Make this easy. Give me the drive, and I'll let you walk away. Lies. Kai knew better. Men like Hale didn't leave witnesses. The flashlight beam swept closer to their hiding spot. Elias trembled violently beside Kai, barely breathing. 84% uploaded. Just a little. More. You think uploading those files will change anything? Hale's voice turned sharp. I own this city. I own the judges, the police, the media. By morning, your little post will be buried, and you'll be just another runaway kid nobody remembers. Kai's phone vibrated silently. Notifications flooding in. People were seeing it, sharing it, commenting. The truth was spreading faster than Hale could contain it. 91% uploaded. Last chance, Kai. Hale's footsteps stopped. Right in front of the shelves. Come out now, or I come in. Kai looked at Elias. The old man's eyes were wide with terror but also something else. Determination. Elias mouthed two words. For Laron. 97% uploaded. Kai made a split-second decision. He grabbed an old book from the shelf and hurled it across the basement. It crashed against the far wall. Hale spun, flashlight following the sound. There you are. He moved toward the noise. 99%. Kai and Elias slipped out from behind the shelves, moving silently toward the stairs. 3 steps. 2 steps. 100%. Upload, complete. Stop. Hale's voice was ice. Kai froze halfway up the stairs. Slowly, he turned. Hale stood at the bottom, flashlight aimed directly at them. But it wasn't the light that made Kai's blood run cold. It was the gun in Hale's other hand. Going somewhere? Hale asked coldly. Kai's mind raced. The evidence was out. But they were trapped. It's over. Hale, Kai said, voice shaking but defiant. I already uploaded everything. Every document. Every transaction. The video of my brother exposing you. Hale's expression didn't change. You think that matters? He raised the gun. Dead men can't testify. Elias stepped in front of Kai. No, the old man said, voice stronger than it had been all night. Hale laughed. The confused old man wants to play hero? I remember you now, Elias said, voice steady. You used me. You knew someone kind would stop to help. You were waiting for Laron. Hale's smile faded. Clever. Too bad remembering. Won't save you. His finger moved toward the trigger. Kai's body tensed. This was it. Then sirens. Faint at first. Then louder. Multiple cars. Racing toward the library. Hale's expression flickered. Confusion. Then rage. Kai's phone buzzed again. A notification, this story is trending nationwide. Federal investigation announced. Hale's face twisted with fury. You little. The basement door burst open. Police. Drop your weapon. Flashlights flooded the basement. Hale turned, gun still raised. Drop it now. For a moment, everything froze. Then Hale lowered the gun slowly. Face dark with hatred. Officers swarmed down the stairs, surrounding him. Kai and Elias stood on the steps, watching as Marcus Hale was pushed to the ground and handcuffed. The man who took Laron, finally caught. Kai's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the stairs. It was over. Really over. Elias placed a trembling hand on his shoulder. You did it, the old man whispered. Phone. Thousands of shares. Millions of views. The truth was everywhere. And Laron's sacrifice wasn't in vain. 3 weeks later, Kai stood at the edge of the memorial garden, hands in his pockets, breath forming small clouds in the cold morning air. The city had changed. Marcus Hale was in federal custody, charged with corruption, embezzlement, and murder. Laron's case had been reopened. 7 other missing persons cases connected to Hale were being investigated. The truth had shattered everything. And Kai had been the one to break it open. But standing here now, staring at the small memorial plaque with his brother's name, Laron Denson, a hero who gave everything for justice, victory felt hollow. Because Laron was still gone. He'd be proud of you, you know. Kai turned. Elias stood beside him, no longer trembling. The confusion that had clouded his eyes for so long had lifted. Medical treatment, proper care, and the closure of finally remembering had brought him back. I don't feel like a hero, Kai said quietly. Elias smiled gently. Heroes rarely do. They stood in silence for a moment. What will you do now? Elias asked. Kai exhaled slowly. Keep going, I guess. The city's offering me support housing, school. They feel guilty, I think, for not listening 2 years ago. He looked at the plaque. But none of that brings him back. Elias placed a hand on Kai's shoulder. No. But it honors him. Every person who knows the truth now, every corrupt official who'll think twice before hurting someone, that's Laron's legacy. Kai's throat tightened. I just wish I could have saved him. You did, Elias said softly, by finishing what he started. By refusing to let the world forget him. Tears burned Kai's eyes. He'd cried so much these past weeks. For Laron. For the brother he'd never see again. For the childhood stolen by men like Hale. But also, for the strength he'd found. For the old man who became family. For the truth that finally set them both free. What about you? Kai asked, wiping his face. Elias smiled. I'm staying with my daughter now. She found me after the news broke. We'd been estranged, but... His voice softened. Sometimes it takes losing everything to find what matters. Kai nodded. He understood that more than anyone. They stood together as snow began to fall, gentle this time, not violent like that frozen night 3 weeks ago. Thank you, Kai whispered. For remembering him. For not giving up. Elias squeezed his shoulder. Thank you for stopping. For seeing me when everyone else looked away. He paused. Your brother saved me that night. But you saved me too. Kai felt something shift inside him. The weight he'd been carrying, the guilt, the anger, the grief didn't disappear. But it felt lighter. Bearable. He told me once, Kai said quietly. That helping people was the only thing that mattered. That if you could make one person's life better, you'd done something worth remembering. Elias nodded. Then he succeeded. Because he made mine better. And you did too. Kai looked at the memorial one last time. Laron Denson. His brother. His hero. His promise. I'll keep helping people, Kai whispered. For you. The wind carried his words away. But somehow, Kai knew Laron heard them. Elias turned to leave, then paused. You know what your brother told me that night? Kai looked at him. He said, my little brother's going to change the world someday. He just doesn't know it yet. Kai's breath caught. Elias smiled. He was right. And with that, the old man walked away, leaving Kai alone with his brother's memory. The snow fell softly. The city moved around him. And Kai made a silent vow. To never ignore someone in need, to never let power crush the powerless. To be the person Laron believed he could be. He touched the memorial plaque one last time. I love you, brother. And I promise your story won't be forgotten. He turned and walked away. Not running from the past, but running toward the future. Toward justice, toward hope. Toward becoming the man his brother always knew he was. Behind him, the memorial stood tall. A reminder, a legacy. A promise kept.